If I were to start my 1,000 plus bottle collection over, these are going to be some of the options I'm going for first. There's so many different ways I could go about restarting a collection like this, and I've done videos on it before. These are going to be some options that are going to be available to me right now, and you might be surprised, you know. You might not see some ones that you might expect in here. We kind of have a nice little mess of fragrances here. We've got one niche, everything else designer. That's just kind of what I go for in general anyway. I have quite a few niche fragrances, but rarely do I actually wear them except for a select few. Mostly it's designers. And here lately, quite a few clones as well, because they've been coming out with a bunch of those that I've been having to test and wear. We'll start things off with a fall and winter powerhouse. Believe it or not, you know, we're gonna be wearing this one here pretty soon. Spice Bomb Extreme. I mean, this is my go-to, like, essentially Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday scent, right? So just that time of year, November, December, and January, and, you know, New Year's. Just kind of those holidays that are all together at the beginning of the year and the start of the next year. That's kind of when I find myself gravitating towards this one the most. It just smells like the holiday season to me. You know, here we get all 4 seasons. If we're lucky, we get some snow around Christmas time, although that doesn't always work out. But it just kind of reminds me of all of that. It has a bunch of tobacco and pepper and some vanilla in here as well. So it kind of has a smooth sweetness and then a nice smoky, rich tobacco with a very peppery, spicy opening into the mid also, given the name Spice Bomb. It's a much more grown-up and mature take on the original, which is still fantastic. I love the original Spice Bomb Eau de Toilette. It smells amazing, but I do think the Extreme is better. And at this point, I do probably think the infrared Eau de Parfum might be a better choice as well. You know, there isn't a whole lot of a reason to buy the original anymore when you do have a few of these really good flankers. The new dark leather is really nice, but it is a bit of a letdown as far as performance is concerned. But I do like how it smells, and the leather note is really, really well done. But out of all of the Spice Bombs, if I had to choose one, it is Spice Bomb Extreme. That's what I'm going for. And even if it was summertime, you know, like right now, if I was rebuilding my collection, I would still pick this one up because I just feel like I have to have it around. It just makes me feel better. Okay, now let's jump on to something a bit more appropriate for the hot weather we've been having right now in summertime, which is going to be coming to an end pretty soon. It's Acqua di Gio Profondo 2024 version. So just recently, a few days back, I did a whole buying guide on the Acqua di Gio lineup. You know, and the buying guide series is something I've been doing for a few years now, and it's a really cool way to give you a broad idea of what you should buy because all of these fragrance lines are getting so big. The problem, though, is that they're putting out new releases almost every year for a lot of these, you know, brands and lines. And so those buying guide videos can get outdated pretty quickly, and then I have to revisit everything all over again. And that's what I did with Acqua di Gio because we did have not only just a couple new ones in general, but then we also had like the, you know, Profondo 2024, and you know, the Eau de Parfum, the Parfum, right? Just kind of rebottling and reintroducing things. So I figured I should just cover the whole thing again. And so you can watch that video in depth. It's pretty long, but I went over everything, even the discontinued stuff. To me, Profondo 2024 is a little bit more bubbly and bright off the top. You mostly notice the difference in the opening when you're comparing the 2024 versus the original release. So I guess you could either call it Profondo Eau de Parfum or just Profondo 2024 or whatever. We're talking about the new Profondo with the frosted kind of glass gradient and the Eau de Parfum on the front. Now, regardless of which one you go for, they're both amazing. And for most people, it's probably not going to be worth to go out and buy the new rendition of Profondo if you already have the existing original. You could probably just stick with that one and be good. But again, if I was starting over, I would honestly probably just go for this one. I don't know if I would feel the need to seek out the original Profondo because I do really like the updated opening of this one. It smells amazing. This still maintains that mineral note, orangey, aquatic smell that we love from the line. It smells like the ocean. It smells like summertime. It is such a bright and uplifting scent that I just have to have for the high heat. And so I would definitely be picking this one up as soon as I could. Next up, we have YSL Eau de Parfum Intense. I mean, this here is the solution to everybody's problem when it comes to the eau de parfum being too sweet and bubblegummy. I mean, this takes all of that away. Because the original eau de parfum and the Le Parfum has a ton of apple, and they are sweet, and they can be a bit hard to wear when it's warm outside, just depending on what your tolerance level is to a summer scent being a bit sweet. I've never had too much of an issue with it, but there are definitely certain times, especially when it's really humid, where I wouldn't touch it. But this one, it just focuses a lot more on the aromatics, which I love. I think this is such a good release. And when it first came out, I was really a big fan of it. I was pretty impressed. As I've had more time to wear it, and I've been, constantly pitting it up against the Eau de Parfum and a lot of the others, this might have taken the lead as far as my favorite YSL Y. I mean, this Eau de Parfum Intense is incredible. But it also still maintains that really strong performance that the Eau de Parfum is known for. So you can't go wrong with this one. If the Eau de Parfum is too sweet, too much apple, this takes all of that away, and you're gonna like it. For a lot of people, that's why they like the Eau de Parfum. So don't get me wrong, that's still a great scent, and it just depends on what you're after. But sometimes it could be a bit too much. If that's the case for you, you might want to look into this one. See if you could go grab a sample of it, try it in person, and see if that kind of, fixes that problem for you. This one's been on discounters for a while now for around $100, so really reasonable price, about on par with what they usually are. Definitely worth trying. I would be getting this one ASAP. Going back over to more of a fall and winter scent again, we have Homme Ideal Parfum by Guerlain. The Extreme. I was thinking about the Parfum, almost put it in here, and that's why I said it. And so I would end up getting 3 of them. I would be getting the Extreme, the new Parfum, and the Eau de Parfum, right? I would end up with all of those again at some point. Might just pull the trigger on all of them right away just so I could sleep better at night if I were to rebuild this collection from scratch, right? That's a nightmare to really think about doing this, but that's probably what I would do. But just to keep it, not featuring a bunch of the same thing in the video, I'm just going with one selection, and I chose the Extreme. I love the plum, I love the tobacco, I love how this one turned out. It's such a unique mixture, the plum and tobacco, and then the almond on top of it. But that's really what makes this one stand out. Talking about great performance as well, this is one that's going to have enough power and potency to push through the cooler air when it's cold outside. And so, this is something where if you want to smell different, if you want something that's a bit more mature and against the grain compared to a lot of the bubblegummy sweet and kind of young smelling fragrances out there, this is something that you're really going to like. Now, this next one might not be, what everybody thinks of when you're talking about rebuilding or starting from scratch. I guess it depends, right? But, this one, it's just not really in the radar. It's not really in the hype bubble like a lot of other scents from this line are. But I love it. I think this stuff is fantastic, and I'm glad that they came out with it. Dior Homme Original, so it's the fresh Dior Homme with Iris, not to be confused with Dior Homme 2020, which is nothing like this, because it really upset a lot of people, myself included, when they came out with Dior Homme 2020 and discontinued Dior Homme 2011, right? Because they took away the Iris, right? And you still have Dior Homme Intense, the Parfum, and things like that. But the Iris is what makes this line what it is. That's kind of what it was built on. And so when the 2020 has none of that, and it just has a bunch of woods, essentially, and aroma chemicals, that was a pretty big change, and it was unexpected. But then I think they either caught on or they just planned this to begin with, but they released Original, which is essentially bringing back that Dior Homme 2011 fresher Iris take, which I love because Dior Homme Intense, and it's intense, it's sweet and kind of chocolatey. Not really the best for a fresh everyday wear because it's not really fresh. Dior Homme Parfum is even less suitable for something like that. Dior Homme, this traditional DNA, is a really nice everyday wear, slightly soapy Iris scent. It's not as fresh as something like Prada L'Homme, but it's not as sweet as something like Dior Homme Intense or Gentleman Eau de Parfum or Valentino Uomo Intense either. It strikes a really, really good balance, and that's why people love this stuff. And so while you might expect me to want to get DHI and DHP back into my collection, I definitely will be, but I would also be seeking out a bottle of Dior Homme Original, especially because of those, this one is kind of the hardest to find right now. It used to be Dior Homme Parfum was that way, but that one has been more so readily available. This one, not so much. Pops up every now and then, but can be a tricky one, so I would definitely be getting a bottle of this. So next up, we'll go with that one niche fragrance I was talking about. Another one that, might be a bit surprising. You might not expect to see me place this one, but it's Roja Elysium Eau Intense. Absolutely love the look of the bottle, that nice gradient with that kind of gunmetal looking cap. Looks awesome. I love that presentation. This one has grapefruit, juniper, rhubarb, black currant, just essentially taking on that original Elysium DNA and actually making it a bit more bright and fresh. You still get that vetiver, which is kind of the main focal point of Elysium, but they've added some more padding. You even get some lime in here as well to brighten it up and freshen it up a bit. And that's going to be the main difference. Even though this is called Eau Intense, it is lighter and fresher as a whole. Not that Elysium itself was overly heavy or sweet or anything like that, because it's not. But I do like their approach with this one, even though the name might not fit, but the bottle presentation does. That nice kind of frosted look that it has. It really kind of ties back to how this one smells overall. Just a nice aromatic, citrusy, fruity, woody scent. This is kind of like their answer to a blue fragrance, although it doesn't really smell like any blue fragrance necessarily. We've always kind of seen Elysium get compared to Bleu de Chanel, and there's a little bit of a comparison, but overall it does its own thing. Same with this one. Just a nice little refresh of this very popular niche DNA. Next up, we have Gucci Guilty Elixir. So, really, I've been impressed with these elixirs, and I've been impressed with a lot of these newer releases. And so if I'm starting over right now, because these are so fresh and I've been so impressed with these, I'm going to be rebuying these new releases again. And the reason why I'm so drawn to this one is because it's like a more affordable version of Amouage Reflection Man 45 Extrait, which is a $500 retail scent. Right now on discounters, it's in stock for like $330, $340, which is still very expensive, but not $500. But, regardless, that's a lot of money. Now, when it comes down to it, the price per milliliter on this is still high too, because you're talking 60 ml for like $180 retail. That's a lot of money too, guys, but when this one's in stock on discounters, you can get it down lower. I think I've seen this into the 120s. I think I've even seen it a bit less than that in limited quantities. It sells quick at that price. It's got orange blossom, vanilla, and a bit of iris in here, some benzoin as well. So just kind of fresh and white floral, but with a little bit of a creamy sweetness too. Very similar to how Reflection 45 is delivered. And if you want to be notified when really good deals, rare fragrances come into stock, or just new releases hitting discounters pop up, you can jump on my mailing list and texting list by hitting the link down below and by sending any text to the number down below, and you'll be the first to know. Next up, we have Les Beaux Les Parfums. This one's got coconut, pineapple, tonka bean. Really nice summer gourmand is the best way to describe this one. It's sweet and kind of summery smelling, but it has an edible smell to it as well. And this isn't your usual summer scent, being that it's all fresh or anything like that, because it's not. But for a summer evening, for a summer date night, or just for an evening out or something like that, when the sun is down and it's cooled off a little bit, this is a great option that you would really be drawn to. Paradise Garden is another one that I wouldn't hesitate to pick up if I was starting over with, because that might be one of their best yet. It's really, really good, but I also don't want to discredit the Les Parfums, because I like this one a lot too, and it's really popular. I mean, every time this one pops up on discounters, it's gone. People want to get this stuff in their collection, and it makes sense. It is really good. You get beast mode performance, great mass appeal, just a really nice, fun, playful summer gourmand. Definitely worth having around. Next up, we have Armani Code Eau de Parfum. Now, this is the 2024. So Armani, they've been busy. They've been kind of re-releasing things and changing bottles and bottle sizes and all that stuff. Armani Code EDP 2024. This is kind of the reimagination of Armani Code Profumo, which they discontinued. And I was so happy that this was the case because that really, really bothered me when they took away Code Profumo. Code Absolute is still gone for right now, but who knows, maybe they'll rework Code Parfum and then make that the Absolute. I don't know. But all I do know is if you like Armani Code Profumo and you're running out, this is what you're going to want to get. Code EDP 2024 in the new refillable style bottle. So you can take these and you can just unscrew the top and then boom, you can buy a refill. That's cool, but man, you got to be careful buying these open, on eBay or Facebook groups or something. If someone's selling a opened one, used one. It's not like the old days where your chances of getting scammed were lower, but still moderate. Now it's even more because you could just dump this out and fill it with anything, water or just empty and send it to you. So be careful with these refillables if you're buying them secondhand. This one has been working its way onto discounters here and there, which is nice. Just make sure you know what you're getting, because the original Code EDP in the old style bottle is still out there, and that is not this. But yeah, if I was starting from scratch, I wouldn't have my bottle of Code Profumo anymore. So I would get this. The last up for this video, we'll end it with another summer freshie. It's Dior Homme Cologne in one of my big bottles, I have a lot of bottles of this. I just felt the need to stock up. So this is my newest one. And you can see the lettering is a little bit different. That's the updated style. This stuff, you can bathe in it in summertime. You can overspray it and you're really not going to offend anybody except maybe yourself because it might get a bit annoying if you're spraying on that much. But as far as performance is concerned, you do need to apply it pretty heavily to get that desired effect. But, if you buy it in a big bottle like this, the price per milliliter is better. Then you might be more inclined to spray it on heavily versus if you were to get a smaller bottle. It smells like iced cold lemonade. Really, that's what this smells like. Don't need to go any further. A fantastic summer scent for the hottest of days. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. If I was to start this collection over from scratch, getting rid of all this stuff, these are some options that I'm going to be looking at first if I was to repurchase. Some ones in here that you might not have expected, but I would definitely be hunting for. And this is not including discontinued fragrances either. I always try to keep those out of lists for the most part because, if you can't buy them, what fun is it, right? To hear me go on and on about how good something is if they don't make it anymore, And so, trust me, there are plenty of discontinued fragrances that I'd be jumping on eBay and picking up. Aqua Atlantique would be one of them for sure, and many more. It's a whole separate video because I love discontinued fragrances. I love hunting them down. But these are some ones that you can get currently that I would be repurchasing. So I will link each and every one of these down below so you can pick these up on discounters and check them out. Again, if you want to be notified of when rare, discontinued, or hard to find fragrances come into stock, jump on my mailing list and texting list. And if you want to be entered to win a bundle of 24 fragrances or $500 in cash, hit the first link down below and get yourself entered there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.